And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's that time again to head out on the road and start checking out what's going on in the automotive industry. Right, Les?
Absolutely, and as usual, we have quite a few things going on, and one major thing we'll talk about later that we've been warning people about for years.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
we'll get
Exactly.
there.
Couple of vehicle reveals and also one vehicle that's been made since 1961 is going
Yeah,
basic, somewhat changed, but it hasn't been significantly changed since 1982. That will get you thinking. Uh,
that's by the way, that's 43 years ago.
I know about that. That's pretty amazing, right? So
That's remarkable.
let's jump into it. Audi is in no rush to go all electric in 2032. If you remember, Audi was one of the first companies to say we're going all electric.
Yeah,
I think it was followed by Cadillac and then some others. They're not in any rush. They're going to be bringing out some more internal combustion engine vehicles, and they're talking about bringing back the TT. Were you ever a fan of the TT?
you
I
know,
found it a little like wearing a tight shirt.
I found it. Yes, I found it. I felt like what a lobster must feel like when it goes into a pot.
Yeah,
But
a little tight in the headroom
a
and
little tight.
yeah, but
Um,
it's interesting that they want to
but
get into the sporty car business.
neat looking car.
Back into it. Yeah.
And Mercedes is showing off its GT63 Pro. Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be a lot of money.
Um, it's going to be more than $10,000.
I think so. A month.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that. And this is an interesting story. You and I have been covering this idea of, well,
Hmm.
you buy the car, but you're going to pay a monthly subscription, almost like you're buying a streaming service or something like that. But it might be for heated seats or enhanced navigation or something like that. Well, new study out. Nearly 80% of drivers are not signing up for manufacturers' offered subscriptions. Seems like that model isn't working. But over at GM, they're going full speed ahead on it because they still want to eliminate Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And this week, there was even a workaround to bring them back, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and GM said, we're not going to be involved with that. So
Wow.
um, I don't know if it's the best course of
It's
business, but we'll talk about it because they want
it's
to make a lot
risky.
of money with this. They want to,
Well, they can lose a lot of money too. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
we're gonna take everybody's opinion on this. Meanwhile, used vehicle sales are surging, but used EV prices are just tanking.
Well, here's the thing. If you need a second car, there things like Kia Niros and that
Yep,
electric are very inexpensive and relatively new. It could be a used car deal. It could be a
it
great
could be.
little, hey, you need to go to the train station, you need a second car to run around town. Range is not a big issue.
Yeah,
It could be
and
something to look at,
your
right?
kid needs a car to go to high school.
Yeah,
Um,
could be
Perfect.
could be a good deal. Well, it's time to reveal the vehicle that has been around since 1961 and is going away, and it is a Kenworth. There's a brand we don't talk about much. Most
Uh,
people
you
don't
know,
buy that to go to the train station.
we've never reviewed one.
No, I do think they're
It's
neat, but certainly a little less practical.
a little large for the driveway.
Yes. But if you have to haul 80,000 pounds, they could be perfect for the
It
job.
works. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're talking about the W900 is going away. It first came out in 1962, or 1961. I'm sorry, it's
Mm.
even older than I thought. And last got a refresh around 1982. They made the hood taller to fit some bigger engines. And, they've done some updates, but pretty much it stayed the same. It is going away. We'll talk about that. Um,
Wow.
Interesting bit of car culture, right? Not truck culture, big truck
Just
culture.
imagine everything that you or I or anybody else owns, everything has come by a truck.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
It
Pretty
is.
amazing.
So there you are. And you have an at the wheel review of the 2025 Hyundai Tucson,
Yeah.
and it's the limited, right?
Yeah, it's the limited, so it's the top of the range trim. What's interesting about the Tucson, it comes in either a non hybrid, a hybrid, or a plug in hybrid. And
Hmm.
a lot of new things to talk about this on the outside and the inside for 2025. So we'll have a full at the wheel review of that model. Very popular model. It's a pretty affordable model as far as things go, and not that much difference between the model we tested, which was the non hybrid, and the hybrid model when it comes to cost. But there's an important difference between them as far as horsepower goes. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But hey, why don't we get started, Les, with the first story, and that is about Audi. Audi being one of the first manufacturers to say, hey, we're going to go all electric. They set the
Yep,
date of 2032, but now they might be pushing back on that, right? Rolling that back a little bit.
that's right. They were going to phase out gas-powered cars 7 years from now. Boy, that's coming up fast, but
Yeah.
they're not.
No.
Um, and yes, the e-tron.
Great electric
These are great,
vehicles.
great electric vehicles. But because I'm sure, because the market just isn't growing at the rate that they need it to grow. And of course, there's never ending technology changes with
Right.
gas engines.
Right.
Not going to happen. So
Well, look at the demand
is
for
this,
Audi EVs.
yeah,
They dropped by
yeah,
19.5% in
yeah,
2024. And while they make a great EV, their e-tron series is probably one of the best. Um, if people aren't buying them, and I think once again, it's the price. It's the price. It's the range. It's the lack of charging infrastructure. You know, it's
that's
not
right.
the vehicle itself. That's it's
No, and brands that haven't pushed that hard with electric, like BMW,
mm-hmm.
they grew 11.5%, but they weren't selling as many in the first place.
Yes.
And also, they're not exactly getting rid of the gas engine either.
No, a matter of fact, we just did a story last week where they're not only not getting rid of the gas engine or the manual transmission, but they're keeping V8s around.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
it, I what is going in the European Union? Have they dropped that mandate yet? For that was 2030, wasn't it? I think they're pushing
it
it
was
back.
right, and it to my knowledge, it wasn't really a mandate. It was just a goal
Okay, I
to
thought it
get
was more like
everybody.
you can't buy a internal combustion based vehicle in
Well,
the
it's
European Union by
oh
I
well, I
thought
don't. Yeah, the European Union, yes, I think, and California, but it turns out you just can't. You can't make mandates like that work because you don't know what the future is.
I still say if you could get people into hybrids and if you made every vehicle a hybrid,
Absolutely.
you would
Yeah,
do a lot for you are making them electric cars sort of you're electrifying them. You would you would save a lot of
exactly.
gas and pollution and cut the operating cost for people. Uh,
Yes. And now, speaking of saving gas, and we
mhm.
haven't talked about this for quite a while,
Okay.
Audi is not abandoning diesel engines.
Oh, that's interesting.
They've tweaked the TDI. Remember the TDI?
Oh, I absolutely it won at Le Mans for many years, didn't it?
Absolutely,
The race
and
version of
it
it.
meets Euro 7 regulations. I don't know about our regulations,
Right.
but it probably does. And the diesels are still accounting for a little over 10%.
Yeah.
of sales. Here, it's is it any?
Well, in pickup trucks, I guess, but
Oh yeah, but for passenger,
I think Dieselgate from Volkswagen left a very bad taste in people's
oh boy.
mouths. Um, if the holy grail would be if they could meet the advanced emissions requirements and not have after treatment required, that would be amazing.
That would be the grail.
Yeah.
Um, I don't I don't see it happening. Um,
No, but
but but
you,
you know that's it's a market, and it's a market that's not really being served here.
no, no, and probably we always used to say a hybrid diesel would be the ultimate. But the problem is
Yes.
it would be costly. Now you have a more costly diesel engine and a more costly
Uh-huh.
hybrid system and the associated battery and everything else. So that would just, yeah, you save on fuel, but you would also just spend a lot for a basic car.
And it would last 300,000 miles before you had to do
Yes.
any work on it.
Yeah, I
But
I think
too
the
expensive.
thing we might see more of are extended range electrics, where it is, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to balance that against a hybrid. Which what is better? I mean, the engine runs at a constant speed if you're just charging the battery with it, but then do you really need that big an engine to charge the battery? I always thought that was bizarre to have a four-cylinder engine or a V6 engine that could pull the whole car around be just used as a generator. But
Yeah.
that's what
And
we're
and
seeing in things
again,
like the Ram Charger pickup and things like that,
yeah.
So,
But again, it's a cost thing too.
yeah,
A cheap hybrid is really it's the best of both worlds.
it is. It is. I have to say hybrids really there's a lot of hype out there. Hybrids deliver. When you get in a vehicle and you say, "Oh, it's got 500 miles of range," like when we get delivered
Yeah.
press vehicles and they filled the tank up, and you fire it up and it says 500 miles of range, or in some cases
That's
600
right.
miles, that's incredible. I've seen also that number go down, and then I'll start it up and it goes higher. I guess because of brake regeneration and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, as you're just cruising along.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, Audi, frankly, they're not abandoning anything.
No. Well, even the
They're just
TT.
moving.
Let's move on to our next story about the Audi is considering a new TT, which is interesting because it that was a vehicle unto itself. I think that was a acquired taste, don't you?
Yes, although I actually knew three people that owned them,
Yeah.
um, and and two of them were men, and yet it had a reputation as being a chick car, as they said.
Okay. Okay. It's more likely Audi's affordable performance car. I think it would be if Audi made a BRZ,
Yeah,
it would be called the TT. How's that?
that's right. Or the Boxster.
Oh, the
I
Boxster.
always
It was
equated
their
it with the
Boxster,
Boxster. Yeah,
yeah, which was also thought of as a chick car. Sometimes, uh, but
yeah,
I think they if they're talking about like we did the show last week and we talked about them bringing back the R8 and the TT, they want to get back into the performance market. Um, it's their focus is not strictly on we just need to make this the most economical vehicle out there. I mean, let's face it, passion sells cars. Uh, people
it
wanting
does.
setting a goal to buy that car. Excuse me. That that's what sells cars. It's sort of like fashion. Otherwise, you could just buy one pair of pants, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, really, it's aspirational stuff
Aspirational. That's the word
that
I was
you know,
thinking of. Aspirational,
and
and it's what sells stuff. It's
it's
what
what
sells stuff.
sells stuff.
Yeah, because otherwise you can make it like the Trabant and just have, you want a car? Here it is. The Nano,
Yeah.
the Tata Nano. They're all the same. The good trick is you don't have to walk 20 miles, but
Hmm.
everyone's looks the same. So um,
That's, yeah, you could get different colors, but
yeah, but that's
but
it.
anyway, they're definitely going to go this route, but they have to get their core lined up and selling
Selling. Yeah.
before they can jump there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, what do you think? Are you glad to see the R8 and the TT possibly come back to the Audi lineup? I know I am, and it's
I
exciting,
am,
and
yeah.
it's plenty to
They're
talk about,
fun
and we are excited about it.
and they
Um,
look good.
they look good too. Hey, while we're on Audi, let's talk about Volkswagen. Volkswagen did a little pricing on a vehicle, I think, that should be one of their most popular models, and that is the brand new Tiguan. It's all new, and it's, as they say boldly, redesigned for 2025. It's the third generation. Um, Destination for all model trims is $1,425. And it starts at a very available 29,495 and 30,995 for four motion or wheel drive. Uh, Base models get a 900 lumen LED lights. We're actually looking at the R line, but the base ones get 900 lumen LED lights, 17-inch wheels, and probably a 10.25-inch digital cockpit, infotainment system. They get a lot. A wireless charger. It's not a bad price for that type of vehicle. You can even pop for $300 more and get 18-inch wheels. So good job for
It
making the
is.
base model not so base.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Tiguan has been a very, very good seller.
Yes. Um,
So, yeah.
and then you step up to the SE, for 35,455 for front wheel drive, or 36,995 for four motion. It adds 20-inch R line alloy wheels, R line bumpers, side sills, black accents, R line badges, frameless auto dimming rear mirror. Um, it doesn't add a tremendous amount of gear, but you're paying, in the case of the all-wheel drive model, about $3,000 more. Probably will be the big
Yeah.
seller, I would say. And then there's the SEL, which is the top of the line, which I believe they're all-wheel drive. 39,755 standard four motion all-wheel drive. Yep, R-line bumpers. And that brings in things like a heated steering wheel, leather-covered seats with ventilation, 10-point full back massage, and quilted stitching. Um, and you can ambient lighting in 30 colors, things like that. Still not a bad deal for under $40,000, slightly under it.
That's right. And you get a bigger screen, 15-inch. You get back massage.
I always find those
Uh,
weird, though. They come on when you least expect
that,
it. Do you,
that's true. And you're always fiddling with whether going up the back this way or that way.
right.
But they're awfully nice. Awfully
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. But what do you think of the new Tiguan? I think it's a good looking vehicle.
It is. It's handsome.
Yeah. And bold.
It's
Boldly
station
styled.
wagony.
Less. How dare you call it that?
I know.
um,
I'm committing the sin of the automotive industry.
do you know BMW is selling more wagons? They're surprised. And this might be a case where the manufacturer doesn't really realize that people like station wagons. Maybe they don't like them, but people do. And they're surprised by the number of people buying Mercedes station wagons, and they're upping the production of it, and they're kind of scratching their heads. How did this happen?
Yep.
But I
Well,
always thought they
maybe
looked
it.
cool.
I always thought they looked cool too, and they're unbelievably practical.
Yeah, exactly. They were an SUV before there was an SUV. So it's the SUV, a
Yep.
svelte SUV without all that bulk.
Yes. Yes. But sadly, um, they don't. I guess the SUV took on an air of sportiness,
Yeah, well, I
which
remember us talking about that, saying a sporty SUV. What, that's like
yeah.
I don't know. But you have a story about Mercedes, right?
That's right. Mercedes has a well, very cool looking. Oh man, the AMG GT63 Pro 4MATIC, which
Okay.
is it looks like it's actually ready for the racetrack,
Yes, and it's probably
and
ready
it's
for your
capable.
bank.
Well, I'm not going to mention the price for a second.
Okay.
Just let me wallow in the idea that I could actually have one,
Yeah, bench race.
because it's gorgeous outside. Inside, it's Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
They're functional, comfortable. Um, it's of course handcrafted AMG 4-liter V8, 603 horsepower.
Twin turbo.
That's enough. That's enough.
Thank you. That was
Active
adequate.
ride control. Yes, that'll work. Active roll stabilization, active rear axle steering.
Right?
I mean, these things are tricked out beyond belief. They actually make you think you're a great driver,
Yes, until you turn
because
them
they're
off on
doing
the
the
Nürburgring, and then you find out.
don't turn them off. Um, and just everything's there. Everything uh, is just as tightly tweaked as you can make it,
Yep.
and not get yourself in huge trouble.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is pony up $195,900,
Wow.
which is um, more than my first and second houses cost.
By the way, remember, the above pricing does not include the $1,150 destination delivery charge. Which,
And the $500 floor mats.
that's right. Um, you get some
Yeah,
unique options too here. AMG carbon
that
fiber
yeah,
package. You can get folding rear seats. Um, 2+2 folding rear seats. That must be a great place to spend some time in the back seat of that thing.
that's oh, it's got to be, and it's got a front axle lift system.
So I don't know who was the first manufacturer to do that, but now I know. GM does it with the Corvette, and
Right,
probably Ferrari,
Lamborghini,
since GM copies
Ferrari
Ferrari a
must,
lot.
yeah.
Um, it's a great idea because I'll tell you what, I remember, what is that SNL guy? One of the comedians. He's a car guy, and I was working at NBC at the time, and I went to 48th Street to get pizza, and he came out of the parking garage kind of quickly in this
Oh,
lime green Lamborghini, right? And he scraped the front of that coming down the ramp. It made an awful
wow.
sound that echoed between the buildings, so much so that he jumped out of the car and was like looking under it, like, because it sounded kind of bad, you know? But I don't blame him because I was like, yeah, that did not sound great. It sounded like you're dragging the radiator or some
He
important thing.
probably was. Oh well.
Yeah, I
Oh
can't think
well.
of his
That's
name, but he was one of the staff of it, and I thought, okay, um, and so. the idea is you would remember that with GPS, you're pulling out of your parking
Yeah, there's a
garage.
button, that you can raise the car up. And
Yeah,
it had the interesting thing is that the option is a fixed panoramic roof. It doesn't open.
yeah. I
For that money, I mean, I
I
don't want one, but
Well, they figure weight up high. They don't want weight up high. I'm not a,
yeah, yeah.
there's been a case, I believe, of BMW with exploding panoramic roofs. I'm not a fan of the all glass roof. I never was.
I'm not either. Yeah,
I'd
I
rather
never
have sheet
never
metal
liked
over
them.
it. I know it's not
Yeah,
heavy sheet metal, but it's still, I
it's
don't.
sheet metal.
It's something better than glass. It's a little bit better than glass, but yeah, there you have it. The Mercedes-Benz USA pricing for Mercedes AMG GT63 Pro 4MATIC. Would you get the folding rear seats? I would, because you would talk about it. Like, look at this
Well,
at the car shows.
I could put my kayak into it if I had the folding.
That's Yes, you need one of these with roof racks and one of those Thule big boxes on the roof.
Yeah,
That would be funny.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's versatile. That's why it's yes, really, dear. I think 195 grand is cheap at the price.
yes, that would be a funny channel to have on YouTube. You know, hypercar or ultra supercars go to pick up stuff at Best Buy in big boxes. And the guy comes out,
Yes,
"Where's your car? I'll bring it out to you." I have the
I
Mercedes
I've
AMG GT63 Pro 4MATIC. It's a
I
$200,000 car.
have at times over the years picked up stuff at the Home Depot in stupidly expensive vehicles, but
I remember the Bentley SUV. I didn't have this, but I was walking into Home Depot and a guy was loading 2x4s into the back of it. And
um,
I was surrounded by
but
car guys. They're like, "What is he doing?" I go, "Yeah, not the best vehicle for that. It's not not the one I would select to, like, let's go get some lumber and plywood and
yeah, um, well, I have done that with a Bentley. Uh, and some small pieces of drywall.
yeah,
Listen, you got to do what you got to do,
you got to do. It's still a vehicle. It's designed for hauling
and
stuff.
I put a sheet in
Yeah, or a
there. I
moving
didn't just
pad or something. Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny. All
Oh
right.
well.
Well, let's go to a next story you have, and this is something you and I have been talking about for a long time, and it is how car manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers want to keep the stream of money coming in after the sale, and they want to do it with monthly subscriptions for everything from enhanced navigation. Um, some of the
Right.
things I don't even know why anyone would pay for them, but BMW tried it with heated seats, and that failed amazingly, didn't
That that was a great fail. It was
it?
just a wonderful failure.
Mercedes does it with rear wheel steering. You can turn it on or off, but
Yeah,
you have to pay for it on a monthly basis,
it's
right?
and GM of course wants to do it with all kinds of features. Actually, all of the car companies do it. Kia and Hyundai, uh, mostly for their extra extra
Connected,
stuff in
yeah,
in
connected
yes, the connected
navigation.
and the navigation systems are enhanced. But frankly, most people, I hate it. I just think either sell it to me or don't mention it. But
Yeah,
don't nickel and dime me $10 a month.
I always said I'd rather buy once, cry once. Buy it, and then you say, "Oh
Yeah,
God, that was expensive," but that's it. It's done, and now I
that's
have
right.
it, and I'm going to enjoy it. Monthly costs are somehow worse for me. Like, and
Well,
that's
it's
kind of how
also
car dealers work. Oh, we'll put it in the payments. No, I want to know
yeah.
exactly how much it costs me.
And it's even worse than worse because if you figure out how many hours or minutes a month you're using that service, you're paying a lot of money for it.
Yeah. And I don't want to spend time thinking about how much I use the seat heaters. We're keeping a record.
Yeah.
Well, this all comes back to a study that was done by a group called Smart Car, not Smart Car, but a group called Smart Car that develops platform app management for connected cars, and it has an annual report. And it says 76% of drivers are saying no to automaker subscription services. This is
Right.
an article from the Drive. And the thing is, manufacturers are trying this and pushing this and going through it over and over and over again. People are pushing back. Like, if almost 80% of the people are not doing this, why do they keep trying to do it, Les? I
Well,
asked that. I'm sorry, I asked that. Like, you could say, well, here's the definitive answer. I mean, why do you think they are? I mean, if it's not working, you don't keep doing it. If you're building a vehicle
because
and no one bought it, you wouldn't say, well, we're just going to keep building it.
yes, this brings us to my I believe that the reason why is why I have for many years said that there's very few problems in life that can't be solved by closing the Harvard Business School
Yes.
because it just the curriculum teaches how to manipulate money, how to make money, how to monetize money.
Anything. Yeah.
It's, and it I just picture every one of these people at the car companies, 30 years old, moving up the corporate ladder. Um, it's how to succeed in business without trying, except it's not a Broadway show. It's the
Deal.
real thing. And they're pitching these ideas. Oh yeah, this is great. But it's not great. It's insulting, I
Well, it's
think.
not good business if nobody's taking the bait. I mean, that's a terrible take rate. I think it's dumb because the vehicles are very expensive to begin with. The price has gone up
Yep.
tremendously for a number of reasons. Some of it, okay, increased safety
Really?
equipment. That's fine. But I don't think the value proposition's there. Like, for example,
No.
Android Auto, Apple CarPlay work great for me. Or if you put a system in there, that's fine. The connected systems that I've tried don't work because they don't connect. The
Yeah.
connected dealer or manufacturer systems I'm talking about, not Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. They work, and frankly, I think they work better than they have in a number of years. They've steadily improved. Um, but also some of the other things that they pitch, it's like that means nothing to me. You know, for something to send me a text when the oil change is due or something like that. It just
Yeah.
doesn't seem like tremendous value. You know what I mean?
And one of the things that Kia and Hyundai do, except in their highest level of model, is you have to subscribe to their connected service
Services.
if you want to use auto start
Yes,
on your fob.
that is
Well,
a
now
big one. Yes.
that's you know that's just sort of twisting the knife.
Well, because you have a button, but it's not active
Doesn't
unless
do
you.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, why do they keep doing this though? Another case in point. I think most people like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in their vehicle. I know I do because
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
same system. No matter we're in a lot of cars, I don't need to relearn a system or esoteric phrases. I know what it is. I can plan my route out ahead of time, sitting at my desk, send it to my phone. I hit one
yep.
button. There it is.
And
I
it's
can.
free. It's free,
It's free. It's easy.
and it
I do
works.
waypoints. So, Like if I want to go over a certain bridge, not another one, don't take me the fastest way. This way's better because I'll hit less traffic or it's less complex
Hmm.
to drive. And I say go there first, and it's great. It's great, and it gets better. It's constantly updated, right? Okay, Google tracks you for the rest of your life, or whatever, and they send you that creepy thing where
That's
you've been, in the last 2 months. It's
that's
like
right.
I'll be watching you. I mean, somewhere Sting wrote that. That would be if there was a commercial for it. Every breath you take, every step you take, I'll be watching you. That would be
Creepy but fun.
yeah, creepy but fun. Yeah. Uh, by the way, some people use that as their first dance wedding song, and it is about
Um,
stalking, basically.
the worst wedding song I ever went to, or was the opening song,
Hmm.
was "Your Cheatin' Heart," and I thought, who the hell picked that song
Yeah.
for the wedding? For the reception. That was the dance, dance with the new bride, and I just to this day,
Yeah, they didn't read the lyrics. They should have printed the lyrics out and read it and said,
yeah.
"Hmm." So, wow. Well, so GM is pushing ahead with getting rid of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and this has been happening in their new electric vehicles, primarily Cadillac. There's some talk that the new Bolt, when it comes out, won't have it. It will have their system that I guess you have to pay for.
But when is their system going to be
I don't.
fully
I think it's
operational?
already out for their electric Cadillac electric vehicles. Maybe
We
not the
need
Lyric, but the ones after that. So, but there was a company that had a workaround for it that could add it back in, but it had to be done at a GM dealership because it was
hmm,
software and a little more involved. Um, and GM just canceled that this week. They said we don't want any of that. So my solution for this, you can go on Amazon and for anywhere from 50 to $100, you can get a screen that connects to your phone and has speakers in it, and that's your screen for navigation.
you mean
And
it's a like a
standalone screen.
tablet screen?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
For
huh,
older cars, that's great and that's
it
cheap.
is great.
And
Yeah,
you sync it to your phone with Bluetooth, so your phone will have the navigation on it. You can sync the sound to your stereo either through an FM transmitter or through Bluetooth or whatever. So it's coming through the speakers.
that's great. That's actually a wonderful idea.
Hey, if you had
And
an old classic vehicle and you're like, I really want nav, but I don't want to hack up the dash, I'd get a little mount for that on the dash, and
yeah,
that's it. So you can even
and
connect a
it's
backup camera to it if you want.
well, see now I've put backup cameras in older cars because they're wonderful.
Yeah,
They're cheap. They're really cheap.
yeah. So that's the workaround. But do you want to buy a $100,000 electric car and hang another screen on the dashboard?
No, I don't.
No.
No, no, I don't.
In an older car, that'd be great. In a newer car, no thanks. So, but
But it's better. It's still better than that stupid mount that you see on cars in traffic where they've got their right there in the center of their dash or maybe on top of the dash. They have that mount for their smartphone, and it's distracting.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, let's move on to our next story about used vehicle sales. Okay, used vehicles are surging. The sale of used vehicles are surging, and they could get more expensive as well because just like anything, decreased inventory means what?
Yep. Yep.
Higher prices.
It's higher prices. Except, sir,
Yes.
and it was in the New York Times and the Washington Post today. Yeah, you can't get rid of a Tesla.
No,
It's
you can't.
they're They
You c-
are being dumped
yes.
at a rate that's you know, unmatched.
Well, I
However,
also don't like though people scratching them. There's been a case of that.
oh no, no, no. I mean,
And the
you
dumbest was
know,
some lady that said, "I'm going to you hear her talking, I'm going to show Musk by scratching this Tesla. There's one slight problem. It was a Rivian. She didn't understand the
oh,
difference between a Rivian and a
well, there are two slight problems. One is doing it, and second,
yeah.
telling people you're going to do it. That it's still
Well, she
a
didn't
misdemeanor
realize there were
crime.
cameras. Like these, most
Yeah,
electric vehicles have cameras around.
you get, you get, you go to court, and you you get convicted,
Yeah, well,
and
and
you
if
know,
you're in Texas, you might get worse than convicted because you have the green light there if someone's messing with your stuff.
yeah,
So
that's right. That's right. You could end up in the express line at the prison to whatever
yeah,
in Texas.
you could be
Um,
flattened. In other words, in Texas for that.
yeah. So, but um,
I always said
the,
don't mess with other people's stuff. That's my.
no, just
Would you go
okay.
sit on the motorcycle if like, hey, look, there's some
No,
Hell's Angels guys there. I like motorcycles. I'm gonna go sit on it and start it up.
I would ask if I could sit on
I wouldn't even ask. I wouldn't
it.
go near it. I'd be like, they're nice motorcycles. If they looked at me, I said, nice bike.
Yeah. But
um,
yeah.
this it's a bad
But
trip, but you're right. Now I'll ask you this once again. You need a cheap car. Would you get a Model 3 for very cheap?
um, n- not not under the current uh, dark cloud that
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Musk has generated. But ordinarily, if I could get it for $8,000, sure.
Uh, I have one local guy here that he said he was been wanting an electric car, and I'm been telling him different models, and he's been looking at some of the press cars and that, and he says he wouldn't go near a Tesla dealership because he's just afraid. And I said the problem is maybe, and I'm driving an Ionic 5, by the way, right now from Hyundai, which is absolutely great.
Terrific. Oh yeah, they're great. All of them are
But I
great.
worried. I said, I hope someone doesn't think it's a Tesla.
Well, I would hope that.
That
Well, I don't
sign on
want.
the back that says Kia, could you be your
Yeah,
first clue?
if you're going to vandalize, and don't vandalize because it's just
It's someone else's
childish.
property. They spent money
Um,
for it. Yeah.
make sure it says Tesla on it.
But don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we have two Teslas here in our townhouse complex. Both of them have taken the Tesla logo trim plates off and put on Audi.
that's not. You might fool
Hey,
someone like this person that was damaging the Rivian. You might very well might.
I think you could fool a lot of people.
Anyway, Ionic 5 review will be coming up eventually.
Yep,
But I still think Kia and Hyundai will be the leaders in electric cars, especially available, affordable, whatever that means, affordable.
that's right.
Hey, let's go over to something. This show is a show of contrasts. We were just talking about Ionic 5. Now we're going to talk about Kenworth W900s. This is the traditional Kenworth squared off, narrow cab, big hood, flat stand up radiator American truck. They have the Ultra Loft Sleeper, which they brought out. It was one of the only big upgrades of it since, 1961. And it got an update in 1982, and there have been other updates along the way, but it's still basically the same vehicle. It's going out of production 2026.
Well, yeah, but are they gonna produce any Kenworths?
Oh yeah, they have a W990, which is a little bit more
Okay.
futuristic looking one. But people it trucking is very traditional, especially owner
Uh,
operators. They like lots
yeah,
of chrome. They like big stacks. They like a squared off big hood. Um, and this model's been around for a long time. And obviously, it will be. These things run for many millions of miles. But it will be a little bit more aerodynamic. I think a lot of people like this truck too because it's made. There's a lot of steel in it, and it's less like some of the big trucks like Volvos are almost
yeah.
like
And that
cars.
was
They
the
look like a big
Smokey and the
car.
Bandit truck too, right?
That is the one that was the model that was used in it, which is a very common model. They're around, a lot of them around.
Sure.
But yeah, so a little bit of a passing of a model from the folks at Kenworth. That is, I think, the first time we've ever talked about Kenworths on this
I
show.
think you're right.
Kenworth and Peterbilt, same company, right? Packard, I believe, is. I think they're the same company. But the new trucks, most of them now are coming with automatics. They're coming with the interior of them looks like a car. They look, especially Volvos, they look like a Volvo
Hmm.
inside.
Wow.
The navigation, the air conditioning
Like a
control,
really big Volvo.
like a big Volvo. Like you
Yeah.
took the dash out of a Volvo car and you put it in a big truck. So, so
Hmm.
anyway, that's hey, if you're driving one of those W900s, let us know what you think about that model going away. I have an at the wheel review. We always like that. We like to give you honest at the wheel reviews of vehicles, and this is the Hyundai Tucson Limited 2025 for 2025, and it's gotten a pretty big redo, I would say, for this. A lot of it happens, a lot of the interesting stuff happens on the inside, but there's been kind of a resculpted front end on this vehicle and sharpened exterior and interior styling and new safety and convenience. Nice thing about this is it comes in the traditional internal combustion engine model, which this is, a hybrid N-line, and a plug-in hybrid, and an XRT, which is their kind of off-road variant of the vehicle. Ours was the limited with the 2.5 liter four cylinder. As they say, it puts out a generous 175 horsepower. More about that
Hmm.
in a little bit. And we'll tell you the ones that we're thinking of that you should buy here. So great vehicle, kind of an affordable vehicle, I would say, as far as these mid-size crossovers go. Great styling out back. It's got the light bar across the top. It's got that in the front, that very traditional rows of lights. On the inside, there's a lot new here for 2025. Great seats, perforated leather, nice look, nice stitching. How does Hyundai do it? They do great interiors in vehicles that are not super expensive. They said they made it more sustainable. I think they did that by doing this cloth insert. All the trim pieces are soft touch, and then there's some piano black around the controls. You get a big screen that kind of goes across the vehicle and smoothly goes into navigation. That has been changed for this model year. And then you get a mix of manual controls and these touch controls. They work pretty well. Sometimes touch controls don't work well. These did. And one of the features I'm super excited about is a volume and tuning knob reappear for the radio, which I think is great. Easy to hook up Android Auto. You would just scan that QR code. I found the infotainment system to be great. A Sirius XM, AM, FM. There it is, that tuning knob and the volume and tuning. Who would know we'd be so excited about that? There's more buttons
Yes,
down
that's
on the
right.
console. A locker, which I like for the all-wheel drive system. Drive mode selector, auto hold, and then camera for getting the 360 view. It is shift by wire. Love it or hate it. That's the controller there on the stock. And you have that 360-degree view system. I do find the steering wheel blocks the some of the controls there, but hey, you got to just work it and get around that. Like the little phone holder for the passenger, which is good. Out back, good rear seat room, leg room, and great headroom. Not a whole heck of a lot of amenities for rear seat passengers. A couple of HVAC vents and USB-C. Seats fold real easily, relatively flatly, not perfectly flat, but flatter than most of the vehicles. And they didn't cheap out. The door cards are exactly the same as the front door cards. I hate that when they do a different trim level
Yeah,
on the
it looks
back.
like a different car.
Yes. Um, Great interior. Wrap around kind of floating dash. As I say, out back, you get a couple of USB-Cs. Great storage. It's one of those deep storage areas, which I like a lot. You can stack stuff up. Nicely finished, some plastic and some of the carpeting. You get remote seat releases, manual seat releases. Of course, once they go down, they're down. They're not electric. A 12-volt plug, some hooks for some things. And then underneath, since this is not the hybrid model, you do get a Space Saver tire and jack, which is nice to know. Relatively flat load floor and plenty of room in this vehicle when you put the seats down. So under the hood, we have a 2.5-liter direct injection engine, 175 horsepower. I got to tell you, I found this a little bit anemic on the road. And I'll get to my recommendation in 1 minute here to get around that. 8-speed automatic transmission. It was a smooth running engine, but there's the headlights down low. You think the other lights are the headlights. The headlights are down low. I don't like the turn signals mounted low on the bumper, but I do like the rear tail lights. So I would like to see those turn signals moved up higher because I think people won't be able to see them that well. Overall, good-looking vehicle, kind of a chiseled exterior, and a good update to a very popular vehicle. As I said, the big thing here is you can get the hybrid model, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. It might be for a little bit different reason. It does get better mileage. It gets 38 in the city, 38 on the highway, the hybrid model. The one we tested gets 26 overall, 24 in the city, 30 on the highway. The hybrid, however, is much better performing model. It gets 231 horsepower, which is a nice bump up from the non-hybrid model, and it's only a couple of $1,000s more than the base engine model. So I would really recommend at least the hybrid model here. For better fuel economy and better performance. I did, like, when I was on the highway with this, I found I really had to crowd it to get it to go, and I felt like I was really forcing it. So it might be a little underpowered, the non-hybrid model. And then, of course, if you step up to the plug-in hybrid model, you get even more horsepower. So you have to think about that if that's worth it to you. That's a little bit more of a boost in the money. So I would leave that to you. I would say at least get the hybrid model of this Tucson. But it's nice to have all options, a regular gas, a hybrid, and a plug-in hybrid. 268 is the total for the plug-in hybrid, which is a pretty big bump up from
It's quite
175.
good.
Yeah. So a lot of people like it, though. They like the size of this vehicle. They like the pricing of it. I like the detail on the sides. It's not slab-sided. It's got a lot of styling cues on the side. Build quality, I thought, was great. Ride quality, I thought, was great. So let's take a look at some of the pricing. And the pricing is not that bad on this for a vehicle of this ilk. And we're going to take a look at this. By the way, I don't think it's been safety tested yet, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. But this is Ecotronic Gray is the color, metallic gray with a gray interior. Just like anything from Hyundai or Kia, there's basically very few options. There's no options when you look at it, other than the carpeted floor mats, which were $210. The base price was $38,795. We add in destination, and that brings us up to $41,400. Not a bad price for this vehicle. And if you pop for the hybrid, you're about 43, which I think I would recommend because it will be a much more efficient and kind of a no compromise vehicle. You may not want to go for the plug-in hybrid. I would leave that to you. I have a good friend that bought one of these. I recommended the hybrid model to him, and he bought it in 2024. And he's very happy with it. Very happy with it. So let's do a tariff check on this. Final assembly point, Montgomery, Alabama, USA. That means no tariffs. Engine USA, transmission USA. That's good. Major sources of foreign content, Korea, 30%. That's probably good. I don't think we have a Korean tariff. And here comes the problem. U.S. Canadian parts content, 55%. What percentage is Canadian? That part would be tariffed. So,
yeah.
But it's a pretty American vehicle when you think about that, isn't it? Engine, transmission, USA, built in Montgomery, Alabama. Other parts from the USA, right? So I think overall this is a great value for people looking for a small crossover. I like the interior update. I definitely do. The shift-by-wire, I always find a little hard to see because it's mounted down low, but it works well as far as those electronic shifters go. It's not confusing. Materials are nice. I like the cloth insert, and I like it has a low load floor too. As I say, if you get the hybrid model, I believe you don't get the spare tire. I think that's where they put the battery for that. And if you get the plug-in hybrid, you'll lose more room because it's a bigger battery. But what would you do, plug-in hybrid or hybrid?
I'd probably just go with the straight hybrid, but if my driving travel habits changed, I might go plug-in.
Yeah. Nice to have that option, though, and I think Hyundai does a good job here. Of course, it gets the big warranty that all vehicles do. I guess they could never drop that 10-year,
It's
100,000
very
mile
popular.
powertrain. Yeah, it's 5-year, 60,000 for new vehicle warranty, 10-year, 100,000 powertrain, 7-year unlimited anti-perforation, 3-year. 38,000 mile comprehensive maintenance, and 5-year unlimited mile roadside assistance. That's pretty generous.
It is. It
for
is.
5 years.
It's very much.
Do you have that on your Kia?
I do, yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, hopefully you never have to use it, but
Well,
it's
yeah,
nice.
but at least if you need it, it's there and it's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah. I would say this is one to check out if you're looking for a small crossover. I just think it is. I think it offers a lot of options. There's other trim levels as well that virtually anything from Kia is pretty well equipped. I mean, you next step down, you'll get cloth seats. They'll probably be fine cloth seats. But every vehicle they sell is well equipped. They don't nickel and dime you for that stuff. So that's good. That's good. Hey, we hope you enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road, so stay tuned. More Cruise Control coming up.
Bye for now.